remote's right next to you. The AC remote.
Rabbi, is it okay if we record this? Yeah.
This guy threatened me. Just kidding.
Yeah, we're just.
Shalom Aleichem. Who are you? Nathan who? What?
RTL.
Artielli.
Know where those cameras?
No, it's
Come.
It's Dylan's, yeah. No, you just like put it here.
So listen. Okay. His class, no spitballs, no.
I don't think anybody does that anymore.
No, now it's just cyberbullying.
That's right. It's getting knifed occasionally from your father.
So cyberbullying was like 2016. Now we're bullying in real life.
Goes full circle.
Reb Davidel.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, we should delete that. That's weird on that.
Don't worry, I don't love you as much. When I do, you'll get it too. Oy, the sweetheart.
Rabbi, what should be my new slave name?
Okay, well, first, let me find out who's here. Let me tell you what he wants, what Michal, and then we'll really talk about anything you want.
Can't trust my phone.
Yeah, where?
Oh, behind you.
I'm an old guy. I don't know what you're talking about. Tell me what you want to do.
I'll put this in the chart.
Go right ahead. Tell me your name again, Nathan. Nathan
RTL.
Partielli. Are you Sephardi
Yes.
or Italian?
No, pretty.
Persian. Well, look, anybody's better than American, you know what I mean?
One for true.
Nathan?
What's up, Rabbi?
No, Nathaniel. You're Nathaniel, right?
Yeah.
Nathaniel, Nathan, Dima. Put away your phones, though.
Yes, sir.
Usher,
Yeah.
are you playing Battleship or are you taking notes? What are you doing?
Taking notes.
All right. Oh, what's your name, sweetheart?
Yo.
Astro World. Hi, what's your name?
Yosef.
Yosef. Nathan again. David and?
David.
David, what's your last name?
Morris.
David Morris.
Cool.
All right, so I'm gonna do questions and answers, do some one-on-ones with you guys. You guys look like sweet kids. Should we deal with any question you want to bring up? Do you want to deal with Rabbi Dubov, who's going to be talking about free will, or you can make questions revolving around that? What do you guys want? You're not a bunch of little kids. David,
Yeah.
how old are you?
I know.
Are you a child or an adult? What?
I'd like to 7 adult.
Where are you from?
That's right.
Strine. S-T-R-Y-N-E, I was told to pronounce.
That's right.
S-T-R-Y-N-E. How do you pronounce that? Strine. Strine. Right? Is that it? I was there a few times in the 1990s.
Did.
Rabbi, you want to talk about how? Sorry.
No, go ahead, but go ahead.
Did I?
Sweetheart, go ahead.
Oh.
Don't worry, I'll ignore you anyway. Go ahead. Say it. What do you
I
want?
was gonna say, can we talk about how evil forces can evil forces be manifested into reality through our actions?
Conversation we had.
Can we create evil?
Yes!
Yes.
Now, what's the next question you want to deal with?
They didn't know.
1 minute. What?
I know that you've done a lot of work against Christianity. What would your explanation be for whenever Christians come to you and they say,
Right, by the way.
"Oh, I was healed," like I had this miraculous healing through like the Holy Spirit.
Guys. I know you mean you well. You wouldn't be here otherwise, really. You're a whole different brand of guys compared to when I was on the ship and half of us didn't want to be there, right? But I'm going to talk, Rabbi Dubov mentioned that as one of the topics to bring up. Questions about Christianity, really what's about, where to come from, how do you deal with questions. In a minute, okay? But first, Dave, at what age did you become an adult, according to Judaism? 13. How old are you now? Are you a child or an adult?
Adult.
Dima, is he a child or an adult?
Depends what he thinks.
What?
Said depends on everyone.
Depends how you act. Depends what you think of yourself.
Being closer to the reality, I say that from 0 to 13 we were children. From 13 till the day we die, we are both BOTHS. Try to think about when you hit 13 years old, did you make a change from being a child to being an adult? And let me explain it. And really, at first you'll feel bad about what I say, and afterwards you'll feel much better. At 13, God activated David the adult. But David the child refused to leave. And therefore, the fight was on. The battle was on. Under 13, God himself didn't hold you accountable. At 13, there was an adult, but the problem is your adult was 1 day old, your child was 13 years old, so you were much more likely to identify with the child's drives it. So now at 21, I'm saying you are both child and adult. But which one are you more?
Well, you were saying before, I guess I'm more of a child, but still 13 years of a child.
Because you're actually 21 years of a child.
Very good. Now, just to let you know, I'm not trying to pick on you guys. Oh, David, I'm 76. Am I a child or an adult? Dima?
Based on the way that you ask the question, let's say that you're a child.
First of all, no, neither one. David, am I a child or an adult?
Both.
I'm both. Now I'm going to Dima and say, but which one am I more? Go ahead, say. You get lunch either way. Don't worry about it. Come on, work it out. You can be wrong occasionally. Sweetheart, I love you guys. Remember, when you get things wrong, you're more likely to remember than when you get things right. Anyway, sweetheart, Dima.
Will you choose to be more?
What?
Will you choose to feed?
Before I make my choices. Because free will means I'm presented with it and then I make my choice. But circumstances present me my choices. To eat that trafe stuff or not. To eat the milk stuff when I just ate meat or not. To kill that person and take his money or not. Circumstances generally present to me a situation at which point I deal with. So at 76, am I more of an adult or more of a child? No, picture. 76 years ago, I came into this world as a child. At 13, the adult was activated, the child refused to leave. You've been a child for 21 years. I've been a child for 76 years, I've been an adult for 63. I'm less lopsided, but am I making sense there, Dima?
Yeah.
And Dima, at what point do you or I become a total adult? Nathan?
Legally?
No. The goyim don't count. I'm telling you reality. Or, if you've ever seen the movie Matrix, the Matrix cannot tell you who you are. In our words, the goyim can't tell you reality. It just depends on which illusions they're in. Now, the fact that they're Christians rather than, the fact that the goyim are Christians rather than pagans, so they're more likely to agree with us that you ought not kill people for fun. But that doesn't mean they'll make serious other mistakes. You got it?
Why are you saying Christians? Not all goyim are Christian.
You're right.
Are you saying the Western world?
Yes.
Found
The fact that the Western world, again, we're here to change the world, to create an ideal world. And every time you do a mitzvah, you bring God into it a little bit more, so that not only. Nathan, are you a child or an adult?
Child.
No, you both. But more child. Nathan, are you an individual or are you part of a group? Because all of these pieces are aspects of free will.
I'm both.
You're both. We are both individuals and part of a group. But which one are we more? More individual or more part of a group?
Depends on where I am.
Guys, please put away the phones. Yosef? Put away the phone. Or you can take it out. It's not a punishment. Hey, really, Yosef? If you want to do something and then come back in, I'm not trying to make rules. Okay, sweethearts? Really? Anytime you go out, come back in, it's your big boys. You're actually, Yosef, how old are you?
22.
Were you raised Orthodox?
Yeah.
Actually, he kind of looked it. All right, so me and you, I can understand you totally. Dima, am I Orthodox or secular?
Orthodox.
No. Everybody's a both. Come on, they're all the same? No, there's a range of Orthodox and secular. Everybody. You know what makes Yosef or Nathaniel probably a better Jew than me? Well,
They did grow up Orthodox.
they didn't grow up Orthodox, or if they did, at 22, as a young, vital animal, he has more capacity to do the wrong things than I do. All right, come on, everybody's a both. That's where your free will is. Your free will is ranged in various ranges of animal versus human being, sex drive versus creating a human soul of you. Not because, but it's, find out when it's wrong, when it's right. Everything. Foods. Our free will is, we are presented with a bothness. And in the end, you know who you really are? That's what we said, the one you choose to be. The hundreds of thousands of choices you're going to make in life to create a you. But you understand, once you're willing to buy the fact that you are more of a child than you are an adult, you'll actually feel better for your... And by the way, the world that you're in, a multi-trillion-dollar Western economy, is that world, if they're trying to promote, do they want you to be an adult or a child in your making
They
decisions?
want you to be a slave. They want you to be a child.
Child or adult?
Child, you make less rational decisions.
What did you say?
Slave.
Basically, that's what we mean. Take away your brain and just do me, now. So that you should buy the nonsense that they want to sell. Yeah. The interest of the world is for you to be slave, I accept. I think what you mean is an addict, like totally stuck within the ring. Be addicted to stuff, to things. Yeah. Like they just drug peddlers. Yeah. Trying to get you to, making a little sense there?
No, it is not.
And that's why Judaism would say, what does it mean to be a servant of God? Not servant, the slave of God? You're always a slave to someone. See to it that you're a slave to the guy who, being infinite, has no needs. He doesn't need anything from you. He created you for you to get the maximum amount of life, which of course is God. He created you for you as a healthy young animal to make a human being. He tells you the do's and don'ts of how to do it, but nothing that you do is for his good. You can't do anything for God. What you can do is make the you that is more connected to God, but that's your interest, not his. Except for the fact that he is infinite love, so he wants you to have it.
Rabbi, I don't agree that we can.
1 minute. Dima, are we making any sense? He says no. Yeah, let's hear it, Nathan.
So I don't believe that we can't do anything for God. I think there's nothing that we can do other than perfect His perfected world. And what I mean by that is, I think creation itself is perfect. The deficiencies that we have, ultimately, the evil essence created, ultimately leads us to be able to attain a level of perfection that I presume to be just below God, because we have to earn it. I think.
In other words, God is infinite, and I'm almost infinite. You know what the opposite of almost infinite is? Infinite. We can make an us. And that's what the rabbi refers to as fear of God. Love of God is realizing that he gave you an opportunity, and he doesn't need anything in response at all. The problem is that in all religions, including Judaism, people can become arrogant bastards and being holier than thou by really thinking that they're doing it for God. You gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. Because in a drive to be like God, we can make the mistake of trying to think you can be God.
So you mean like kings? Idolatry.
Idolatry is one thing. Kings, for example, the halacha is that if you're a Jew and you daven Shemona Esrei, do you know what that is, Nathan?
Amidah.
The Amidah. How often do you bow in the Amidah? 4 times. Oh, he's not. He knows what he's talking about. 4 times. If you're the high priest, when the temple was standing, how many times do you bow? At every bracha. 18 times. If you're the king, when do you bow? Do you bow at the beginning and you stay bent over till the end?
You pray in the bowing position?
The king.
Do you mean you
Let
bow?
him know.
Do
You
you bow?
gotta remember that he's not God.
Do you bow at posture?
In that term, because you're standing there for when the silent prayer, you bow.
I thought they prostrated in the temple. They didn't bow.
Yeah, and that's separate from the temple. Shemona Esrei 3 times where you were not necessarily in the based on your will. Yeah.
Just to go back to what I meant by we can give Hashem something. I don't necessarily mean we can add to his infinity, but the fact that we can earn is what I'm saying is the fact that Hashem created us in a manner that we have to earn means that Hashem can experience this degree of being proud, almost like Hashem can hold us like a trophy. I mean, a person like Avraham Avinu was such a high level, like we talked about, he actually became a very high expression of Hashem's will, and I would assume Hashem holds that like a trophy. And in a sense,
You see, but just as long as but you gotta really know that that is idolatry according to Judaism, and that what you're saying is the way you see it rather than the way he does.
but it says in the Tanakh that Hashem holds us like a trophy.
Of course, and then it says he's angry, but we know he's not angry.
I see. I see.
Because he wants to get a handle on what it would be like to be. Okay. David talked about Christianity, but then he left. So what else should we talk about?
Wait, Rabbi,
Question. I really want to leave it open. Oh, David,
Are you?
we can get back to Christianity.
Love to.
What's your question?
Question is,
And then we'll have another 2 or 3 regarding the
if they
topic.
can go to Christians, right, who've had, like, oh, you know, life has changed, and then all of a sudden they're like, someone had this disease, I prayed over it, and the Holy Spirit fixed it. So, you know, Muslims will say the same thing, but I know you folks want to change. How do you rectify?
Would a Jew say it?
Sorry?
Would a Jew say it?
Did you see what?
That I prayed to God and he brought me a miracle?
Yeah, I mean,
Some.
but Christians are praying to JC. How do you know?
Very good. So the Christian says, I prayed to Jesus and he caused a miracle.
Yes.
The Muslim says, I prayed to Allah and he caused a miracle.
Yes.
The Buddhist said, I meditated to the Buddha and it changed the reality. Right? Okay, so now, that's what they say. Now, give me a form of a question, and don't worry, you can change it if you mean something else. Go ahead. What's the question? I mean, question, how do we see the reality, or how do we deal with his subjectivity? What's your question?
If someone maybe grew up, they're Jewish, their mother is Jewish, but maybe they grew up and they just didn't grow up Jewish, and then they went to Christianity. And then you're going to them and you're like, oh, well, you know, it's not the truth, here, you know, proofs. And then they say, well, I've seen, you know, miracles happening. And what do you say against that?
I've seen miracles. So I'd say that you as a Christian believe that that you're going to hell, everybody goes to hell eternally unless you believe in Jesus.
Yeah.
And therefore what you're saying is that only Christians get that, but I know Jews and Muslims and Buddhists and Hindus who will say they have the same experience. Correct?
Yeah.
And therefore what I'm saying is, I'm not going to go into now how I know something is a miracle, but I do know that in the Christian world, in classical Christianity, if you believe in Jesus, you're going to heaven, no matter what you do wrong, because Jesus died for your sin. If you don't believe in Jesus, then because of the sin of Adam and the fact that all man is sinful, if you don't believe in Jesus, then no matter how good you are, you're going to go to hell eternal. And that is the problem, the fact that you say miracles happen to you. I can accept that because God is not that picky with people making mistakes. So, but that I have no problem with the fact, actually, according to Judaism, that all of idolatry is an attempt to find God. In fact, in Jewish law, when we have a Jewish state, we have a bunch of Jews, we have a state of Jews here, but we don't have a Jewish state because the laws are not based on Judaism. Some are, some aren't. It was even called by Mr. Herzl, Medinat HaYudim, the state of the Jews. I don't know who mistranslated it as a Jewish state, but the book that he wrote is not, from German, would not be translated in English as a Jewish state. It's the state of the Jews. In Hebrew, it's more, meaning it is Medinat HaYudim. They do it more correctly. The English translation is a little, in a minute, don't forget your question again. And therefore, I would say, Tim, I have no problem with the fact that, according to Judaism, the only absolute black hole of existence is atheism, and nobody's really an atheist. Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche was a brilliant German, and he insisted he was an atheist, but when he was going crazy, he once said, the reason that I'm an atheist is I know that if there is a God, it isn't me. And we're saying that goes for most of us. And that's why there's a saying there's no atheists in foxholes. I want to do whatever I want to do. I am a child, I want to be childish. I'm an animal, I want to have sex and eat pork chops. But I want to be somewhat consistent. And therefore, I will say, but if there is no God, then there's nothing wrong. Because everybody should know that if there is no God, nothing is right or wrong. That should be obvious. That if the universe came into being from nothingness, and nobody makes rules, we have rules based on how we want to run society. You could be a communist, could be a Nazi, two very different views of what's going on in life. The one thing we all know is, have a seat, we're in the middle of the class. Have a little respect for the fact that the other people.
Sorry.
You can focus attention. All right, so in that world, you can say atheism is the only absolutely black hole, and it's not really true. It's just the best excuse you have for not being able to control your childishness, your animalness, or your groupness. You know, in a world where your group says, what's wrong with watching people kill each other in the amphitheater for fun? Now, in a world where we abdicate to the wrong side, getting rid of God is a very comfortable way of feeling. Because then you know there's nothing wrong anyway, so there's nothing wrong, period. All right. All idolatry is a search for God. And in fact, going back, halakhically, when we have a Jewish state, which is subject to halacha, Jewish law, idolatry would not be permitted in a Jewish state. But that you leave it alone outside. When you go outside of there and you see the goy worshiping his God, halacha says leave him alone because it's part of the search of humanity for God. They know that they're not God. They know that there's something higher. And since the Jewish people are called the kingdom of priests, and when we live Torah, the world moves toward Judaism, and when we drop Torah, the world moves away from it. I have no problem with you idol worshippers called Christians because we believe. Muslims are not idol worshippers because they believe in one God, the God who gave the Torah to the Jews, according to the Torah. The Christians, because they say that Jesus is God, they didn't believe it at the beginning. Nowhere in the New Testament will you find any statement that Jesus is God.
They don't say it before.
That Christians now will tell you that they believe that Jesus is God incarnate, right? He's God, and that why didn't he say so in the New Testament? I'll tell you why, because at that point, the Jews who believed in Jesus didn't believe he was Mashiach, and that's a human being. When the Goyim took over a few centuries later, Goyim were used to having human beings as God. And therefore they read into it, and they couldn't change the New Testament. So you actually have a New Testament that doesn't talk about Jesus being God, but Christianity, classical Christianity, Catholic, Episcopalian, born-again Christian, believe that Jesus was God himself. And if you believe he's a wonderful person and a Messiah, that he's a human being, you're going to hell together with all the other people who don't believe in Jesus. That's a classical idea. And therefore, I have no problem with the fact that God has mercy and he will do miracles for you. You have a problem because you say, oh no, if you don't do it, you're going to hell eternally. Yeah. And therefore, really, you turn it around. In terms of your belief, the fact, if you say the only people who get these amazing miracles is Christians, but in fact, you see it across the board, and it doesn't tell you anything about who's right. What he is really saying is, I really don't care about what's true. What I care about is who's going to take care of me. And Judaism saying it's nice, we want to be taken care of, but you ought to care about what's true.
Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you can go first, don't worry.
Go ahead. Nathan, Dima. Okay, go ahead, Dima.
Do you think that since the goyim in their
A
heads,
little louder. I'm
do
okay.
you think the goys in their heads the ones that
What's a goy?
Nation.
Very good. We mean non-Jew, but the word in Hebrew is really important because they think what it really means is slots, cattle, whatever. The word goy in the Torah actually it's used as referring to the Jew Torah. We're called, when God gives the Torah, last week's parsha, goy kadosh, we're a holy nation. Goy means nation, but because the prophets warn us, don't follow the evil practices of the nations that surround you, the goyim that surround you, so the word goyim became derogatory. It's kind of like when you don't like people, the neutral word that describes them becomes derogatory. Like Negro. It's a thing, but after 30, 40 years it becomes so become black, and after 30, 40 years, black has become Afro-American. In other words, a neutral term, but if you don't like them, the term becomes seen as negative by the people who don't like them. Like, give me another example. Jew. Yeah, go ahead, Dino.
Yeah, so since they're in their head doing the right thing,
Who?
the other nations.
Nations or religion. There's no word for religion in the Bible, so it's really nations. And what they believe is true. Right? Go ahead. So, Dima.
Do you think that since they are making their best effort, they're going to be rewarded for their effort? Because they're in their head, they're doing the right thing. They were raised in that way. They obviously don't know Judaism, I feel like they're going to get rewarded because they're putting in the effort to find God.
I hear there's something in Judaism called a Havamina. Anybody know what it is in Talmud?
Love of something.
What?
Love of something.
No, Hava Amina, meaning the initial assumption and then the maskana is the final conclusion. It's a good Havamina, Dima, but they mean well. That's why I like going to extremes, Dima. Did Adolf Hitler think he was a bad person or a good person?
Everyone thinks they're a good person.
He was a righteous person.
Very good. I am a liberator of humanity, so maybe he's in heaven.
He's not.
What?
He's not.
Very good. That's your maskana. In other words, what God takes into account is in the level of guilt when you do the wrong thing, your general range of who you should have done. See, everybody, and that's what Judaism is saying is, I'm trying to be a little tough on you. I don't know, maybe it's too tough. What I'm saying, Dima, is, Dima as a Jew could be a better Jew than me because you were raised secular, or more, not Orthodox, and I was raised Orthodox. As a human being making choices, how old are you?
21.
21. I'm going to tell you pretty solidly that if I was raised like him at 21, not to mention good-looking kid too, the chances of me being in yeshiva are rather slim. And therefore, as a quality of his soul, you're ahead of me, you guys. Nevertheless, Judaism says you came into this world as an animal that walks on two legs. Actually, you didn't become an animal rolled on four legs. You came into this world as an animal and a child and massively subject to your group. God said, I am charging you with the drive of trying to find out the truths of life. Why should you? Why should you try to find out the truths of life? Truth is so abstruse, so abstract. Judaism says because your real drive in life is pleasure. Long before Freud, we're talking about Talmud. Nathan is a pleasure seeker. Every decision he ever made in life was based on what would give him more pleasure. What are you talking about? I know this kid who joined the Israeli army and was willing to take dangerous things for the sake of
Others?
right? Like willing to die for, yeah. Judaism saying that doesn't mean he's not a good person, but that means he's a person who gets more pleasure from being good and willing to give others than to hurt people. In other words, we are all combinations, and therefore our drive is not for truth. Hi,
Hi,
what's your name?
David.
David?
David Gatt.
No, that's okay, and this is foundations class, right? Sure, have to be.
Thank you.
Make sure you got the right place. All right. Can you hear Nathan? I'm not going to forget about you. It's kind of question we're dealing with any questions. Dina, what Judaism would say is, when you make mistakes, you'll be held accountable, but to a lesser or greater extent of how much you should have found it. But that Judaism is saying you should be a truth seeker. Why? It's too much to ask for us to be a truth seeker. You know what we really are? We're pleasure seekers who know that if you want pleasure, you better find out what's true. Do you realize that in all cases, but that requires you to be an adult, by the way. An adult can know that to get pleasure, you better find out the truth. What do you mean you're smoking cigarettes? But the truth is, you know that smoking cigarettes would be bad for you. Yeah, but I'm a child. No. You're over 13. You're held accountable to know that to get pleasure, you have to find out what's true. You have to have a long-term view rather than short-term view. Do you know what happens, Dima, to a young man who wants pleasure and ignores truth?
Structure?
AIDS.
Oh.
AIDS. Oh. You ever hear of AIDS, Dima?
Yeah, I heard it sound
Do
positive.
you know how you get it? By trying to get pleasure while ignoring the reality of the situation. Don't do it. Let me see that. No, you on the side, maybe?
No, it's like this.
No.
All right, guys. And therefore, Dima, oh, and by the way, there's another thing about Dima, which 120 years from now, he's going to stand before God, and God says, I got you on video. Dima's going to say, God says, tell me, Dima, what is the things that most got you angry at people who were once your friends? You'll find that when you go through your life, what gets you most angry is people who lied to you. People who you relied on, and they willingly told a lie because they thought it would be better for them. Isn't it clear that one of the most one of the things that are most destructive to human relationships is lying? Am I making sense, Dima? Aha! And therefore, you know what that means? It means you have a natural drive to want to know what's true. And you're really angry. I'm not saying you shouldn't forgive people. But can you hear that when the fact that you got really angry knowing that the guy willingly lied to you means that you have a natural understanding that you want to know truth rather than falsehood. All right, that's what we're held accountable for. And we can know from the history of humanity that Dima, are you an individual or part of a group? Both. Well, as a group, are you part of the Jewish people or are you part of humanity as a whole?
Both.
Excellent. And therefore, Judaism would say that when you put on tefillin, number one, you personally get more connected to God than you were before. Number two, the Jewish people, more subtly, because you're only one of the 12 million, when you put on tefillin, the Jewish people are more connected to God than they were before. Number three, when you put on tefillin, humanity is more connected to God than they were before. We're not surprised that 3,300 years ago we were told that they were kingdom of priests. The prophets say one day the whole world will come to the Jews to learn about God. We are the people, the whole world will come to us and accept our view of God and Torah. And we know it that even with Mashiach not yet having come, that's what the world is. The world that we lived in. The pagan world of Europe or Asia or Middle East. They are now not pagans, they are Christians and Muslims. Christians and Muslims are very different than from each other. What is the one, can you give me in one word, what is the common denominator of Christianity and Islam?
Torah.
I was going to say the Jews, Judaism, but in other words, the Torah of the Jews. In other words, Christianity says up until Jesus, there was a God who gave a Torah to the Jews, and up until Jesus, the Jews are the only ones that had it right. Do you realize that that's what they're saying? The Muslims say, oh, no, but they made a mistake. They thought that Jesus was God, and he's not, because Islam is monotheistic, not Christianity. And therefore, they made a terrible mistake, and everybody believes that Jesus is God is going to hell eternally. But once Muhammad came and straightened out the mistakes of the Jews, then we should come to us. In other words, half of the world is based on the idea that up until then, the Jews are the only ones that had it right. What a change. If you had lived 2,000 to 3,000 years ago as a Torah Jew, you'd say, oh man, that will never happen. What are you talking about? Greek pagans, Roman pagans, Persian pagans. We're going to get to the point where half of the Goyim believe in God and Torah? And the answer is yes. It's so amazing. That's what only thing more amazing than that is the fact that you can totally ignore it and not realize what it says about Torah being true. All right, yeah, Torah said, here we're moving along, but God and Dima. We're here, you're here when you put on tefillin to connect yourself to God, to connect the Jewish people to God, and to connect humanity to God. And over time, the Goyim come to us and accept more and more of the truth of Judaism. Unfortunately, we started something called secularism in the late 1700s, early 1800s. I'm going to go next to you then, Nathan, right? And the Jew decided, when we drop Torah, the Goyim will like us much better. They didn't realize that in the war between Israel and Amalek, when a Jew drops Torah, we're strengthening Amalek. And as we weaken and Amalek strengthens, the goal of Amalek is the destruction of the entire Jewish people. And as we weaken and they strengthen, we think they'll like us better. They come along and say, let's kill all the Jews. But because they didn't know. They really were stuck in the secular view that says, Bible, nobody cares about that. We're all animals, have a good time. They didn't realize that you have to know the truth about if you want pleasure in life. So you're going to drop Torah, thinking that everybody will forget about religion and be secular. No, when you drop Torah, we are less connected to God. We are weakened. Amalek is strengthened. And the goal of a strengthened Amalek is the destruction of the Jews. Oh man, that's crazy. There's no way in the world. Yeah, unless you're a Holocaust denier, it already happened. And we're in the process of it again. I don't want to go into. Bottom line, when the Jews are not doing Torah, that's all right. We have an army. We have 300 nuclear warheads. We have the best Air Force. Terrible mistake. When the Jew is distant from God, we are strengthening Amalek. The reality of the situation. Oh, maybe Germany, but not America. Stay tuned. You have to understand, secularism is not an objective view of reality. Judaism is one view, secularism is another one. We have very different views. The secular world says when people drop a religion, everything will be fine. The Torah says when the Jew drop religion, Amalek is strengthened. No, there's no Amalek. It's all Bible mythology. Don't worry, the world will be fine when everybody's secular. Didn't work last time, it's not going to work the next time. Because every man has his own religion, including the atheist. You have to find out what is true, and therefore to figure out when people do A, B, and C, what happens next. There's no neutral ground to stand on. If you're right, fine. If you're wrong, doo-doo happens. So stay tuned. That's why it's important to find out one way or the other. And therefore, when a Jew drops Torah, he personally is more distant from God. When he does that, Jewish people are more distant from God. And when humanity is more distant from God, and they choose, instead of choosing more involvement in Torah, like Christians or Muslims, they're more involved in Amalek. But Mr. Herzl said that once we have a state, because he was based on a false religion, which says there is no God, and if there is, he didn't give a Torah, and therefore everything will be fine. Do you understand? Every man, Mahatma Gandhi said it, but it's a brilliant statement. Every man has his own religion. Find out what you believe is true and what you believe is false, and you'd better be right. Because life will work based on what is really true and what is really false. There's no neutral ground. What did he believe is true? And was he right? He said, yeah, once we have don't worry, anti-Semitism is because we're powerless. Once we have a state, everybody will respect us. It'll be the end of anti-Semitism. See, that really worked well. He was mistaken. Everybody makes mistakes, but you gotta be careful. Nathan.
Going back to what you were saying about Herzl.
Yeah.
Are you going to say, so you're saying that Israel is not a Jewish state, it's a state for the Jews?
Well, I think you should agree with it, and therefore I'm willing to hear from you what would make something a Jewish state, and what would make it not a Jewish state. I would agree we should all say that the fact that, just like America is majority Christian, but it's not a Christian state, that the Jewish state does not mean the majority of the people there are Jewish. It will be that the legal system is based on the principles of Judaism.
But you do have the right to return, which is
And therefore they said there's one level of racism we will allow in which a Jew gets an immediate citizenship and a Goy doesn't. I said, listen, I love racial profiling in America. No, I love racial profiling. Every time I go to the airport and they're giving everybody, the Arabs, a hard time. Maybe dark guys like him, they'll give him but me, it's no longer, it's ageism. But they have a benefit, they give Jews a certain benefit. I understand. I'm not saying they're terrible people. You know what I mean? All I'm saying is the laws are not necessarily based on Torah law.
So would you consider yourself to be a Zionist?
I think that Zionism was a well-intentioned, tragic mistake in which if we don't do tshuva, we can end up with another Holocaust. And that what's going on now, that if you read Mr. Herzl's books from 100 years ago about having a Jewish state and how wonderful it'll be, read his books. See, the problem is everybody's going for their emotions rather than their intelligence. Read his books.
He got him as his kid.
I'm not going to blame him that. No, he didn't. Let me tell you what happened.
He did nothing.
No, again, I don't hold people accountable. People make mistakes. I make mistakes. Mr. Herzl was he said, I want to help the Jewish people. The problem is that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. He had a bunch of girls and one boy. His boy, he didn't circumcise, not baptism. He didn't circumcise his son. He said it's an ancient barbaric practice. Because Herzl died at age 44 of tuberculosis, his kid, when he grew up, was a vicious anti-Semite. He was kind of crazy. He was anti-Zionist, anti-Semitic. He converted to Christianity, and 6 months later committed suicide. And the Jews, with their black sense of humor, said, see, that's what we would expect from Herzl. See, he wanted to commit suicide, but he didn't want to kill a Jew, so he converted to Catholicism and then committed suicide. Jews have a black humor, you know what I mean? I'm not blaming anybody, we're just talking about making mistakes.
What do you say tshuva? What do you mean tshuva for what? You say we don't do tshuva again for the Holocaust. What are we doing tshuva for? What do we do wrong?
Who's we?
It's the Jewish people. We don't do tshuva. You're talking about individuals doing tshuva or like the whole nation itself doing tshuva?
The nation. It's not an absolute total, it's moving toward it.
Is that because of Zionism or that's because of something else?
No. Eretz Yisrael, very good. In other words, what am I doing here? Okay. In the late 1700s and in the early 1800s, two ultra-Orthodox groups of people, the Hasidim and the students of the Vilna Gaon, two very different Orthodox worlds, started to moving to Palestine, to Eretz Yisrael, because we know it's the Messianic age for Kabbalistic reason, but timing, everybody holds this is the Messianic age. In the Torah world, everybody holds this is it. Rav Kook said Zionism will be part of the process to help it. The Haredim said no, it's going to delay it. But everybody holds this is the Messianic age. And so they started moving to Eretz Yisrael. And they said, we'll live under Arab, it's not really Arab, but Ottoman Turks, and we're going to deserve redemption. Along came secular people saying, well, as long as we're going to have a bit of a moving here, then in that case, why not take political control? So the Haredim said, no, you understand. That'll just make you not do tshuva. What I got to turn to God for, I can handle it myself, and that'll really work against it. And they did say, you can't come to a place which is 98% Muslim, 2% Jewish, and expect that they're going to be happy for you to take over. It turned out that the secular guys were wrong even about history, putting God aside. They will be Ishmael has a deeply proud sense. Islam believes that once a place becomes subject to Islam, you can't let it go back to Dar al-Harb, to the infidels. The Torah Jews said, good, we'll live here and we'll deserve redemption. The secular guy said, no, they'll be so happy when we make a country that's so advanced. It turns out they were wrong about history as well, separate from the Torah.
So from a Torah standpoint, what shouldn't they have done? Like what was the right thing to do?
Take control.
Take control. Okay.
I'll give you another example. Suppose Jews had gone to America and instead of wanting to become Americans but Jewish, I want to be Jewish, can I have Mr. Goy in America, can I have equal rights? Yeah, good, that's what we should have done here. That we're going to come here, we'll live under their law and deserve redemption. Now, remember, the secular Zionists, see, you may think I mean this as an insult. Listen carefully. Dima, are you a Jew or a Goy?
Jew.
Both. Me too. Every Jew is both, meaning you are massively subject to the way the Goyim around you are doing things. The number one reason we don't go to gladiator fights anymore, because Goyim don't do it anymore. On the other hand, if ours does basketball and theirs does soccer, you're generally like basketball more, and they generally like soccer. We are massively the result of the world we're in. In the 1890s, when they made Zionism, the biggest movement in the West, in an attempt to make a better world, was colonialism. We British, we're not going to slaughter. Look at those white people in America. They slaughtered all the Indians and took over. Not us. We can go to India and make it so much better they'll be happy for us to run it because of. We're going to go to Africa. We're going to go to South Africa or Southeast Asia. We white people, because everybody knows the white people are naturally superior to the inferior darkies. I mean, isn't that what they believed at the time?
It is.
We barely let them out of slavery in America in 1865. Okay, we're
But
gonna.
they also say that Jews own slaves. That's another conspiracy that they're saying.
Maybe they did. So what? Everybody owns
It's
slaves.
very, very few.
Hey guys,
A lot.
That's
guys. The bottom line is that when a Jew drops Torah, he becomes like the Goy. So if the Goy says, we're going to march into the darker parts of the world and make it better, the Jew said, we're going to do that in Palestine. And if you read through Mr. Herzl's books, he uses the word colonies. Easy to use if you're an anti-colonialist, I would say he was a colonialist. But of course they were. They were saying the whole world will be bettered by white people colonizing and making that dark part of the world much better. No, it turned out that the Indians didn't like it, and the Africans didn't like it, and the South. And we're the last people holding on. But God gave us this land. And the Arabs say, so what? I mean, really, we don't have a very good argument about this, especially since those Jews don't do things that God wants anyway. All of a sudden, God comes. You know, there's a separate country, but, you know what I mean? They believe that it should be Muslim. We would like it to be Jewish. So what they're saying is, we're going to keep on fighting without end, because Arabs are like that. Two Arab clans that have a fight over honor, they never end fighting. They never stop fighting. If you think the Jews are going to get away with it one day, another thing coming. Like a good friend of mine said, the problem with liberal Jews is they think the whole world is populated by liberal Jews. Hey, you should have thought about what their ideals were, not rather than yours. All right, so here we're stuck with it. Now, as a Torah jumps in, it's interesting. We've actually, by ignoring God, secular Zionism is ignoring God for the last 150 years. God has us trapped exactly where we want us. No way out. So maybe we will do true. I don't know. But there is no way out, if you think about it.
Right. What are your thoughts on Rabbi Berger?
Kahana said, we got to throw all the Arabs out of Israel. Now, I would say, let's forget about right or wrong. I think Kahana was right. The only way we could possibly have it is by throwing all the Arabs, Palestinians, out of all of Eretz Yisrael. The fact that A, the world won't allow you to, and B, the Jews here won't allow you to do it. Where they had an easier time throwing Jews out of Gaza than Arabs out of Gaza. So Mr. Kahana, without realizing it, has given us the fact that there's no solution. It's an impossible situation. The only way it would work is we got rid of them all, and we can't. Both for external and internal reasons. So, if he was right, we're indeed doo-doo anyway, because it can't be done. And I hold, in that case, bringing it up as a topic.
But if you did try that, hypothetically, like kick them out or kill them all, wouldn't that increase in this?
Yes, I agree. I mean,
Maybe-
you're actually arguing the Haredi view. We can't it's the situation where only God's redemption can work, and we try to do it ourselves, it just gets worse. I accept that. What you're saying is, uh-oh. All right, we'll talk more. But it can very well be 150 years of saying we don't need God. We got a Jewish state with an army and thing, we can take care of things. Guess what? We're getting in deeper and deeper doo-doo. And it may very well be that 150 years of saying we can do it ourselves, we need to point and saying, how?
Rabbi.
How does it end?